Greetings and welcome to Walking in Wealth. I'm your host, JD Garnier, and you're listening to KKNO K75 AM radio. I pray that you had a productive week in your wealth creation journey. And listen, the path won't be easy, the road won't be smooth, but we are committed to walking in wealth. I'm thankful for the opportunity to share with you again this week. And first things first, if you're not following me on social media, please follow me on Instagram at Garnier JD, Facebook at JD Garnier, and Twitter at JD Garnier1. Also, if you need someone to empower your organization, inspire your staff, or galvanize your team, please contact me. No organization is too big or too small for us to add value and impact. Now, on last week's show, we defined wealth. We defined wealth as the relationship between time and money, with the goal of separating your money from your time, finding a way to increase your money without an increase of your time. We talked about some ideas and some concepts, and I asked you to ask yourself two questions. The first question was, what can you do that doesn't cost anything that can improve your life and your financial circumstances? And the second question I asked you to ask yourself was, who do you know that can improve your life and your financial circumstances? And so I'm hoping that you took some time to consider what immediate changes that you could make in your life to begin your wealth creation journey. Today, I want to talk about the numbers. What do the numbers look like, and how do we make them work for your benefit? You know, one of the most amazing and beautiful things that have ever been created in the world of math and economics and numbers is something called compound interest. Compound interest is amazing because of how well it works in building wealth. Compound interest is the interest on a loan or deposit calculated based both on the initial principal and the accumulated interest from previous periods. Essentially, it is interest on top of interest. So think about a sum of money that you have, and if you're earning a set rate of return or interest, you earn that interest both on the initial principal that you have, as well as on the interest that you've been paid in previous periods. And so it creates almost a snowball-like effect to help your money to grow independent of your time. So I want to look at some examples of what that looks like in the real world. So let's say you're 50 years old, and up to this point, you have not done anything towards your wealth creation journey. You've just been living life, you've been taking care of your responsibilities, but you have not committed to building wealth. And you say, okay, today I want to commit. And for the next 15 years, from age 50 to age 65, I want to put myself in a position to build some wealth and to create some wealth for myself and my family. And you say, I'm going to do the bare minimum. I'm going to put $500 per month, which is $6,000 per year, away for my financial future. And you put it into something that is going to be earning you an 8% rate of return. So over that 15-year period, if you commit $500 a month, which is $6,000 a year, over 15 years, that is a total of $90,000 that you have contributed and committed to. At an 8% return, after 15 years, the value of that is over $175,000. So let me back up. So you've committed to $90,000. But by earning a rate of return of 8%, that $90,000 has turned into $175,000. Where did that additional $85,000 come from? Compound interest. And so $90,000 became $175,000 without any increase in your effort or time. You've created wealth without any additional work or labor on your part. Let's look at another example. Let's say instead of age 50, you're 40 years old. And you say, you know what? I'm going to get serious about my wealth creation journey. I'm going to get serious about committing to putting wealth away for my future. And at 40 years old, you make the same commitment. No matter what's going on, I'm going to commit to putting at least $500 per month towards my financial future. I'm going to commit to doing it. That's $6,000 a year from age 40 to age 65, a 25-year period. Over that 25 years, the total amount that has been committed is $150,000. Using the same scenario of an 8% return, that $150,000 is over $478,000, almost $500,000. So again, you have turned a $150,000 commitment over that time period into almost $500,000 without any additional work or effort on your part. That's wealth creation. That's compound interest working to your benefit. Let's look at one more example. You're not 50, you're not 40, let's say you're 30, and you're just starting out your professional life. You didn't really do anything in your 20s. You were trying to figure things out, but now you are committed. And you say, I want to start things off right for myself and my family. And no matter what happens, you make the commitment to put $500 a month towards your financial future. $6,000 a year at age 30. By the time you're age 65, you have put over $210,000 towards your future. At an 8% return, or rate of return, the value of that is over $1.1 million. Think about that. All you did was make a commitment to put $500 a month away for your future. Doesn't account for any increases in your salary. Doesn't account for any extra income you may make, any growth you may have as a professional. You just make that commitment during the course of your professional life. That's $210,000 in contributions that has become over $1.1 million. You have essentially created wealth over your professional lifetime without any extra work or labor on your part. That's wealth creation. I told you compound interest was a beautiful thing. And in each of these scenarios, the amount that was available was far beyond the amount that was invested. You increased your money without an increase of your time. Now, the only question that you should be thinking about and asking yourself after everything I just said is, how do I get an 8% return on my money? Now, I didn't just pull 8% out of nowhere. I got that number from somewhere. If you look at the history of both the stock market and real estate and most assets that appreciate in value over the past 100 years and beyond, they've averaged anywhere from between 8 and 10%. So I use the lower value. But that's a number that you can use to plan your expected rates of returns on different investments that you may or may not make. But you should be asking yourself that question. What can I do to get that type of return on my money? And you're not going to get an 8% return with dead money. You see, money is either growing or it's dying. It is either appreciating in value or it's being spent or wasted. When you are buying things that depreciate in value, or your money is sitting in an account somewhere not earning any interest, that's dead money. Now, of course, there's a certain amount of money that we need to survive, to pay for our basic living expenses. But anything above and beyond that is not appreciating in value is dead money. It might be safe money, but it's not living. It's dying. See, we think money is safe if it's sitting in a savings account or checking account or money market. But if it's not growing, it is dying. What rate of return are you earning on your money? See, sometimes even when we get money, we keep thousands of dollars in savings accounts and money markets and safety deposit boxes under our mattress. That is dead money. It is not participating in capitalism. It is not benefiting from the buying and selling of goods and services or the growth of the economy. That's the economy we've been given. In the United States, we live in the world of capitalism. But the problem is, we are paying for capitalism, but we are not participating in capitalism. Let me say that again. We are paying for capitalism, but we are not participating in capitalism. We're paying for it. When we order stuff off of Amazon, we pay for Amazon, but we are not participating in the growth of Amazon. Meanwhile, that is the richest, largest company in the world, and it's getting more and more valuable every day. We buy our children Nikes, but we're not participating in the growth of Nike. We pay rent, but we're not collecting anything. We buy $5 coffee, $500 video games, and $5,000 purses, but we are not participating in the success of the companies that we're patronizing. We are paying for capitalism, but we are not participating in capitalism. We are buying all the things that represent the economy, but we are not participating in the growth of that same economy. And so the only way that you're going to achieve the rate of return necessary to build wealth, to separate your money from your time, to take advantage of compound interest, and to participate in capitalism is to buy assets. Buy things that appreciate in value. Stocks, real estate, businesses, commodities, land. You have to own things that appreciate in value. You have to deliberately put your money towards assets that grow in value. If it's not growing, it's dying. And so investing money should not be a luxury. It needs to be a serious part of everything that you do in your wealth creation journey. Now, there's 3 ways to acquire assets. You can buy assets, create assets, or become an asset. Let me repeat that. You can buy assets, create assets, or become an asset. Now, buying assets should be non-negotiable. I just went over an example of what that looks like. You take a portion of the money that you're earning from your employment or from your business, and you buy assets over time. You don't need large amounts of money to start that process. The more discretionary money that you have available, the more assets that you can buy. You buy assets that other people or entities have created, and you are participating in their success. Those assets earn a rate of return that compounds the value of your wealth without you having to do anything else. Just buy assets. Now, do all assets appreciate at the same rate? Of course not. Is there a risk that some assets that you may own may decline in value? Of course there is. And we're going to talk about risk and diversification on another show. But for purposes of this discussion, you should have in your mind that you need to be buying assets. Now, the next way to acquire assets is to create assets. When you start a business, when you make a product or create a service, that's the creation of an asset. Now, that takes more time and effort than buying assets because you're creating something from scratch. But if it's something that people want and are willing to pay for, that increases its value and you have created an asset. That business that you have, that is an asset. Now, the two things that you need to think about to grow that asset is, one, you have to figure out how to make it more valuable, either by attracting more customers or increasing your price. Essentially, you have to figure out how to grow your business. But also, you have to figure out how to make your business grow independent of yourself. Meaning, how can you get more sales and increase more profit without an increase in your time and effort? Now, creating assets is much more difficult, but it is also much more rewarding. So if you are in business for yourself, if you are thinking about starting a business or creating a service or product, it's a challenge, but it is your opportunity to create an asset. Now, the last way to acquire assets is simple. To become an asset, increase your economic value. This is the easiest asset to grow because it does not require anyone else and the cost is minimal. Let me ask you a question. How much time are you spending making yourself an asset? If you want to increase your earning potential, you must increase your value. What are you qualified to do? There are so many ways to increase your value. What are you reading? What are you working on to improve yourself? What habits can you break? What habits can you create? What skills can you develop? Who are you helping? Human capital is the sum of all of your skills, abilities, knowledge, and talents. It is everything that you are in terms of what you can contribute to society. Every single day, you should be trying to increase your human capital. That increases your value to society and increases your worth as an asset. If you work in an office and you're paid to do a specific thing, learn how to do everything else in that office that you're not paid to do. That's building your human capital, increasing your worth. If you have a talent or gift to do something, I don't care what it is, enhance that talent, work on it, refine it, practice it every single day. Read books on a skill or idea that you're interested in. Make it a priority to be kinder, to help more people, to make new relationships, to ask questions, to inform yourself. Anything that you can do to increase your value as a human being is making yourself a valuable asset. This should be a daily practice. I don't care if it's 15 minutes a day. Your goal should be to increase your worth every single day. It does not cost money to be more informed, to be kinder, to be more aware, to meet new people, to read, to research, to practice. If you are not willing to work on yourself as an asset, what makes you think that any investment strategy is going to change your situation? You are your most valuable asset. Build it. You cannot imagine the opportunities that will come once you decide to improve yourself every day. Any extra income that you're earning while making those personal improvements should go towards either buying or creating other assets. That's compounding. That's compounding yourself. If you start a side business or make some extra income on a second job, that money should be going to either growing that business more or buying assets. So dig deep. Ask yourself, are you making yourself an asset? How committed are you to improving yourself? No investment strategy can make up for improving yourself. I told you last week to ask yourself the question, what can you do that doesn't cost a thing that can change your life and your financial circumstances today? Make yourself an asset. Now, you might be listening to this and thinking about your life and thinking about all the things that you've done wrong, bad financial decisions that you've made, things that you failed to plan for, money that you've wasted, talent and potential that you've wasted. Guess what? We've all done that. We've all wasted money. We've all wasted some potential. We've all made bad financial decisions at some point. You can't change the past, but you can make a decision to commit to what is necessary to start your wealth creation journey where you are. That might include changing your current financial circumstances. It might include paying off some debts, saving some money, reorganizing how you do things. It is not too late to start that journey, even if it's not just going to benefit you. You can put yourself and your family in a position to create generational wealth. Isn't that what this is all about? Your legacy? I'm not making any of the financial decisions that I make just to benefit myself. I'm doing this for my legacy, for my children's children. Make yourself an asset. Now, before I end this show, I just want to tell you a story. It's one of my favorite stories that Pastor Samuel Blakes tells all the time, but I think it's so relevant to what's going on right now. See, when he was a kid, him and his brother used to catch the bus home after school, and they would have to walk about 2 blocks before they got home. And on their way home every day, they would pass this same house. And in the yard, this house had the biggest, meanest, most vicious dog that you would ever want to see. But it had a chain around its neck, and it was behind a fence. And every day they would pass the dog, and they would antagonize it. They would throw rocks at it, they would kick it, they would bark at it, and the dog would get up and come charging full speed at them, right up until the point that the chain would jack its neck back, and it would fall down, and it would get back up, and it would just start barking at them viciously. And every single day, they would pass this house up, and they would see this big, mean, vicious dog behind the gate with a chain around its neck, and they would antagonize it. They would throw rocks at it. They would bark at it. They would stomp their feet at it, and the dog would get up and come charging at them full speed until the chain would jack its neck back, and it would stand back up, and it would start barking at them. And this went on day in and day out. And eventually the dog got smart. And they would pass the house, and they would see the dog, and they would antagonize it, and they would throw rocks at it and stomp their feet at it and bark at it. And instead of running, the dog caught on. And he would get up and he would walk right up until the point that the chain would normally jack its neck back, and it would stand in that spot, and it would just start barking at him viciously. And this went on during the fall, during the winter, during the spring. And one day they got off the bus just like every other day, and they were walking home, and they saw the house, and they saw the big dog, and they started antagonizing it. They were throwing rocks and stumping their feet and barking at it. But what they didn't realize was that the chain was off and the gate was open. And there was nothing but space and opportunity for that dog to do everything that it had been dreaming about. I mean, just take a big chunk out of both of their legs. And when they realized that the gate was open and the chain was off, they were frozen in fear. They couldn't move. They were paralyzed. And the dog was looking right in their eyes. And he got up and he walked right up until the point that the chain would normally jack his neck back. And he started barking at him viciously. And once they realized what was going on, they took off and started running back to the house. You see, the dog was free, but he did not know it. He was free to do everything that he had been dreaming about doing, but his mind was conditioned to believe that a chain was around his neck and a gate was blocking his path. And I tell that story because how many of us have been conditioned to believe that something is holding us back and something is blocking our path? How many of us have been conditioned to believe, no matter how hard we work, something is holding us back and something is blocking our path? Well, I'm telling you right now that there's nothing holding you back and there's nothing blocking your path. If there's never been a time before, the time is now that we are free to pursue every opportunity that we've dreamed about. We are free to pursue every idea, dream, or goal that we believe is possible for ourselves. And there is nothing holding us back and there is nothing blocking us except for our own minds. And so we have to remove those barriers. And walking in wealth is about removing those mental barriers so that you can pursue those opportunities. Is it going to be easy? Absolutely not. Are there going to be obstacles? Absolutely. That is life. But there's no chain around your neck and there's no gate in front of you. And with that, thank you for tuning in to Walking in Wealth. I'm your host, JD Garnier, and have a blessed week in your wealth creation journey.